As long as you donate your lifespan, you can enjoy the life of a top billionaire. In the future world, a company called Everlife launched a time donation program. Donors must be at least 18 years old, and as long as their DNA matches a suitable recipient, they can receive generous rewards. And the more years they donate, the more money they receive exponentially. Max, a time donation manager, was recognized at Everlife's quarterly meeting as the Employee of the Year. In just one quarter, he completed 276 years of donations. His boss, Sophie, even personally approved his loan request. Max and his wife Irene bought an apartment as they had hoped, but their happiness was short-lived. An accident occurred. That night, when they returned home, they found the entire apartment engulfed in flames. Fortunately, Max had insured the house, but the investigation revealed the fire was caused by an unextinguished candle. Therefore, the insurance company refused to pay. The bank then demanded immediate repayment of the remaining loan, or they would seize the only collateral. Irene was stunned upon hearing this. The only collateral for the house was her 40 years of lifespan. Her DNA happened to perfectly match that of a wealthy recipient. Max hurried to find his boss Sophie for help, hoping she could intervene. Sophie verbally agreed to help, but in the days that followed, no matter what Max tried, he couldn't reach her. He even wanted to repay with his own lifespan. But unfortunately, the only recipient who matched his DNA died in a car accident a few days earlier. On the day of the enforcement, no one was allowed near the person being enforced upon. Max could only stay in the hall, listening to his wife's cries. After the enforcement ended, Max took Irene and moved into their new home. Seeing her suddenly aged self in the mirror, Irene didn't want to burden Max any longer. Ignoring Max's pleas, she resolutely decided to return to her parents' home. The next day, Max returned to the company and suddenly saw Sophie's figure. He immediately gave chase, only to be shocked to discover that Sophie's appearance had changed into that of a young. After working in Aeon for many years, Max knew very well that Sophie had never found a matching donor. But right after his wife's lifespan was taken away, Sophie suddenly matched successfully. Obviously, his wife's genes were the key to her survival. Furious, Max decided to fight back. He went into the slum black market and bought weapons, forged passports for himself and his wife, and contacted an underground clinic that could do time transplants, planning to reclaim his wife's stolen life. From that day on, Max secretly followed Sophie, until one day when she went to the cemetery alone, he finally acted and kidnapped the now young Sophie. Before leaving, he sprayed a red symbol on the tombstone, the mark of Adam, the group opposing life exchange technology. Max wanted to frame the kidnapping as their doing. Later, he went to his wife and claimed he had found a way. He hid Sophie in a car scrapyard and told Anna the whole truth. But Anna thought he was crazy, saying that if they were caught, the whole family would be doomed. Max did not argue. He just made Sophie see his face, then told his wife, "Now there is no turning back." Meanwhile, Sophie's disappearance quickly reached Aeon's security department. Through cemetery surveillance, they quickly identified Max, but when they reached the warehouse, Max and his wife had already fled with Sophie, boarding a ship to another country with fake passports. Anna thought they had finally escaped, but Aeon soon found clues through social media and set a trap at their destination. In desperation, Max came up with an idea. He hijacked a family with a daughter and forced them to cover for his family. So Anna hid in a freezer and Max in a car trunk, finally fooling the police search. Afterward, he used a backup phone to contact the clinic, waiting for their reply. But during this time, Sophie suddenly revealed a shocking truth. She wasn't Sophie at all, but Sophie's daughter, Mary. But Max didn't believe a word she said. He thought it was just a lie Sophie made up to escape. Since they hadn't heard back from the clinic, they stayed overnight in an abandoned hotel. But Anna began to hesitate. Max pulled her aside, telling her that even if he had kidnapped Sophie's daughter, direct relatives' genes would almost certainly match. So Anna could still extract her lifespan. However, Max felt pity for Sophie and allowed her to take a shower. But she fought back while bathing, took his phone, and ran into the woods. Sophie ran deeper and deeper into the forest, until she reached a swamp, where she finally called security. But before she could say much, she sank deeper and deeper into the swamp. As she was about to be swallowed completely, Sophie finally cried for help. Hearing the noise, Anna pulled her out. Back at the hotel, Anna noticed Mary had no transplant scars at all. As the two were discussing this, Sophie's men had already tracked them down again. They advanced fully armed toward their hideout. In the middle of the night, the two were awakened by noises and opened their eyes to see armed men before them. But they weren't Sophie's men, they were members of Adam. They took the two to a warehouse, and Max finally learned the whole truth. The girl was indeed Mary, and the mastermind behind it all was Sophie. She had discovered Anna's DNA matched Max's long ago, and laid out a trap. First, she approved their loan on purpose, then lured Anna into mortgaging 40 years of her life, then set fire to their apartment, colluded with the insurance company to deny compensation, and finally enforced foreclosure, stealing 40 years from Anna. At last, Max knew the whole truth. From the very beginning, they had been caught in Sophie's trap. At that moment, the underground doctor finally sent a message. The address of the clinic had arrived.